Welcome to another edition of Park Talk Podcast, the official podcast of the Naperville Park District.
Hi everyone, I'm Sue Omenson. In this series on making the transition to retirement, we've heard from two individuals so far who have connected with the Park District, either as a volunteer or as part-time staff. Today our guest is Jim, who works part-time as a fitness attendant at Fort Hill Fitness. He explains how he got here and how his job and personal fitness routine help make a healthy retirement lifestyle that he enjoys. Welcome to the podcast, Jim.
Thank you.
So to start, would you tell us about where you worked and what your working life was like before you retired?
Sure, I'd be glad to. I worked for 33 years for a very large packaged food company. I had numerous roles in that company over those 33 years. I was in operations. I was in quality, mostly in quality. I was in R&D for a while. Lots of travel, commuting to downtown Chicago, driving to Barrington, Illinois, getting on an airplane. In my operations and quality roles, there was a lot of conflict and a lot of upsets that I had to manage, recalls, elevated consumer complaints, and so forth. So very stressful, very stressful.
Sounds like it, yeah.
And I was very glad to be able at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, be able to get a workout in. Usually just cardio, but I did enjoy it. And I was also lucky in that where I worked provided workout locations as well. So,
that's good because you probably didn't have time to go anywhere else.
No, I could just schedule myself at 2 o'clock to go on the elliptical for 45 minutes and then come back and get on my 3 o'clock meeting. So that was very nice to be able to do that. So we're lucky that way.
So it sounds like fitness activities were part of your lifestyle, even in that busy career.
Yes. I'm hedging a little bit because the story of my life really is the story of my weight, right? I mean, I've been up and I've been down, and I know how to gain weight. I know how to lose weight. I'm not very good at controlling weight. Mm-hmm. So even though I was working out, and I did work out a lot, I still was able to, gain weight anyways. So that was not the best, chapter there.
Sure.
And ultimately, what led to me retiring was some health issues I have related to excess weight.
Okay.
It was 2018, and my wife and I had taken a vacation to Sedona, Arizona. It's beautiful. It's absolutely
nice.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And, we're out there hiking, trying to hike, and my wife could hike a lot better than I could. I was kind of messed up by the altitude. I had knee issues, and I just knew something wasn't right. So This was May of 2018, and came back from that trip, went to the cardiologist. I just knew something wasn't right. So I went to the cardiologist, and they said, we need to follow up on some things. So long story short, in August, I ended up having a double bypass.
Wow.
I had some blockages, and they were in places that they didn't feel they could stent.
Okay.
So I had a double bypass over at Edward Hospital. Everything was great. Did the cardiac rehab, came back to work in like 12 weeks, whatever
That's good.
It was.
Yeah.
Things were fine. And that first cardiologist appointment in April, they told me I weighed 315 pounds. So I said, that's too much. I need to stop. So at that point, I went ahead and started a diet and increased my workout. So, I'm a big believer that, weight loss, there's no real magic to it. It's eating less and exercising more.
Yeah.
And so I just did both of those things. And maybe I'm lucky, but the weight really did come off. And so I had lost 30 or 40 pounds by the time of the surgery. And continued to lose weight over the course of about a year.
Wow.
Ultimately lost 150 pounds.
Oh, my.
Which made me too small, and my body didn't want to be that small, and so I've gained back some of that weight. But again, I'm struggling with, gaining and losing and maintaining, so whatever. But the story doesn't end there, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
I went back to work. Everything was fine. And
this is what end of 2018?
So this is the end of 2018,
Okay.
right? So it's November. In fact,
Okay.
it's November 12th, which I think
you remember that.
it was a signature day for me.
Yes.
November 12th was a Sunday, I believe. And I just, had a day, went to bed thinking I was going to get up and go to work the next day. And I woke up on Thursday in the cardiac ICU at Edwards. And it looked really familiar to me and I was really disoriented. I'm like, why am I back here? And then the story came out. So apparently what happened was I said I had a double bypass. One of those bypass grafts closed up. It didn't have enough blood flow through.
Okay.
So it basically clotted and closed. That actually caused a heart attack. I'd never had a heart attack until that point.
Okay.
I just knew
Yeah.
I wasn't right and my heart wasn't exactly right. And so we tried to take care of it before I had a heart attack.
Right.
Well, one of the bypass grafts closed. That caused the heart attack.
Okay.
In fact, it caused me to arrest in bed, here in Naperville, in my house. And luckily, I've got one of those CPAP machines and my wife heard it making a weird noise.
Wow.
And so she tried to wake me up, couldn't wake me up. Again, long story short, called 911, this being Naperville with our wonderful municipal services.
Yes.
And it being 5:30 in the morning on a Monday when not a lot is going on.
Mm-hmm.
The EMS was able to come right away to the house.
Wow.
And take me into Edward where all the cardiologists were getting ready to take care of their people that
Sure.
day. And in comes me, an emergency case. So they sent me to the stent lab and gave me 5 stents and got things flowing again. But then they put me into a coma because they weren't sure how long I might have been without oxygen.
Okay.
So I was in a coma. That's why I was in a coma. I guess I was boxing with the nurses a little bit on Monday, so I probably could have. It was probably okay, but they put me in a coma because they weren't sure about brain damage and brought me out of it on Thursday. And I'm very lucky that I came out of it.
Yes.
Apparently, arresting at home happens 1 in 1,000 of these operations, and you've got about a 1 in 1,000 chance to survive it. So right now, I'm at 1 in a million. Right.
This was really a miracle.
And surviving it could have been not what I am today. So, grace of God and the ability of the Naperville Municipal Services and Edward cardiologist, I'm here today. So I was in the hospital for a few more days. They gave me an implanted defibrillator because once your heart starts, they give you a jump starter to make sure that never happens again. It's never fired. I'm okay. But then I went through cardiac rehab again and came back to work in January. And I'm 54 at this point. So this all happened when I was 53. My birthday's in October. I turned 54. Came back to work. And where I worked, you needed to be 55 in order to retire with a lump sum pension, which was what I wanted to do. So I worked until 55 and really didn't like it. I got to say, when I came back to work, my, not to be a pun, but my heart was not in it anymore. And I did what I had to do, did a good job, led my people, made my objectives, my numbers, all that kind of stuff. But I just knew this wasn't for me. So after we got into 2020, I retired in 2020 and had a lot of time on my hands.
Right in the middle of the pandemic, right?
Exactly, right in the middle of the pandemic. I wasn't really interested in consulting. In what I did before.
Right.
So I didn't really pursue that. So I had a lot of time on my hands. And, what kind of led me to Fort Hill was, I would go and work out every day and I would see the fitness attendants there. And, they started encouraging me like, hey, you're retired now. Maybe you should work here. You're here every day anyway. Come on in, make some money at this. So, after a while, I looked into it, and in August of 21, then I started, interviewed, and I've been working here. Basically, this is my 1-year anniversary.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. That's awesome. Wow. I think those fitness attendants are very friendly. I remember talking with Don last week, and he's always encouraging other people.
Specifically, it was Lucy and Rick. I think that were really the ones that encouraged me.
Wow. So now that you're settled into working here, what do you like about your job as a fitness attendant?
I think what I like best is is the flexibility that I
Okay.
have. Obviously, our boss knows that many of us are part-timers, are retired, and she really does a good job of working with us on what our schedule can be. And my schedule isn't very set, with no grandkids yet, but kids, around the country
Sure.
and so forth. A lot of friends locally. We tend to have a lot of things going on. And we've got a process here where I let my boss know a month ahead of time what days I can and can't work, what shifts I want to work. And then she works her magic and makes it happen.
Oh,
And
that's great.
the other thing that's nice is the fitness attendant group works together really well to cover absences. So if for some reason I can't make it on a Thursday or a Friday, I'll reach out. We've got a group text and people work together to get absences covered. So I'd say that first and foremost,
Right.
the work-life balance and the ability of the manager to be flexible and work with their people is really great. And then the working conditions are great. I mean, come on, I'm working in air conditioning, it's the place is clean, people want to be here. So it's nice to be in an environment like that.
Oh, that's great. And I'm sure you're still working out as well.
Oh yeah, I work maybe 1 or 2 days a week, and I'm here 6 days a week doing the workout. So now my workout could be better. Like I said, you can imagine that I focus on cardio, right? Given the story you just heard, I would probably benefit from working out more on the first floor than the second floor of Fort Hill, but that's something I got to work on.
Well, it is nice that we have a variety of equipment and activities that you can do. And how did you initially come to Fort Hill Activity Center?
Well, I saw it being built. We've lived in Naperville since 1988.
Oh,
So
same as us.
24 years. And we belong to another fitness location that's well known to people. And it was fine. It was great, My kids loved it. We worked out there a lot. The hours worked for me. When I traveled for work, I could usually find one of those places nearby if the hotel I was in didn't have adequate workout space. But after a while, it got kind of tired. And then a friend of my wife's joined here
Okay.
really soon after we opened.
Yeah.
And she just kept talking about it, how great it was. And so I went for a tour and got a tour and was blown away by the size of the facility, the cleanliness of the facility, the fact that the machines were not on top of each other, so I didn't
Right.
feel like I was breathing someone else's breath while I was working out. So, we joined, I think within the first year that the facility was open and haven't looked back. So it's been great.
That's great to hear. And have you been involved with the Park District earlier in your family's life?
Yeah, through kids primarily.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a joiner, but through the kids,
Right.
My son took the fencing class
Oh,
at
really?
the barn,
Oh,
I think
fun.
it was.
Yeah.
I remember going there and watching him swinging his sword around.
Uh,
Yeah, mostly through the kids, and obviously going to parks.
right.
I mean, let's not forget, all the wonderful outdoor spaces that Naperville parks offer. So we were heavy users of Knock Knolls, been all over the Naperville Park District in our time here.
That's great. How do you see the Park District as a resource for retirees as well as everyone?
Well, it really is staggering if you go on the website and look at all the things that are being offered. Pretty much for any age group. And if you look at the senior stuff, there's free movies, right? There's bus trips. There's shows you can go to. There's classes. You can take guitar lessons if you want, right?
Right.
There's clubs. I know here at Fort Hill on Fridays, I think it is, there's a big bridge club that meets. So, there's all kinds of stuff going on all the time. Plus all the outdoor stuff. I mean, just go enjoy nature, right? Take a walk. Knock Knolls is beautiful all year round. So there's so many connection points that you can plug into if you seek them out and look for them. The holiday stuff that we do at Halloween, that we do at Christmas. It's all there. It's just up to you to seek it out and try it. And most of it's free.
Well, thanks so much, Jim, for sharing your story and just for being part of our Fort Hill staff, it's really amazing to hear how you recovered, and just I'm just glad that this can be part of your life now. And thanks again for talking with us.
Absolutely, you're welcome.
Thank you for listening. The Naperville Park District's mission is to provide park and recreation experiences that promote healthy lives, healthy minds, and a healthy community. Park Talk Podcast is a production of the Naperville Park District.